your thoughts on the recent developments with an American Chilean journalist YouTuber, Gonzalo Lira. I don't know if you've had conversations with him in the past. Are
Uh,
you familiar with his case?
yes, I watched a couple of programs that he created and then broadcasted from Kharkov, which is where I think he and his family were living.
Hmm.
And I thought he was very important because he was telling the truth. And he was telling people from the very beginning, the Russians really aren't losing. Ukrainians are losing. The Russians are deliberate, they're methodical, uh, and they're dealing with a problem. And we really ought to find a solution to this, but stop running around and pretending that the Russians are losing. And that was pretty much what I was getting from my contacts on the ground. And I watched yesterday as a spokesman for the State Department was asked specifically about Gonzaga Lira, and he pretended to act as though, first of all, who are you talking about? And secondly, well, I don't know if any of that's true. I think what we're seeing is that the same disregard for the safety of an American citizen in Ukrainian hands is what we see with regard to the victims of criminality in New York, Washington, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Miami, wherever, especially if they're white, especially if they're Northeast Asians. We don't care about you. And I think that's what the administration is saying. It's a terrible thing to say, and I'm sure not everybody in the administration agrees with that. But whether they agree with it or not, that's the Biden, Blinken, Merrick Garland message to the world and to us.
I guess I just don't understand the. I I guess maybe that's the whole point. It's not to be understood, but the premise of sending $200 billion, maybe, I mean, who knows how much at this point we've sent to Ukraine, and now they're disappearing people like Gonzalo Lira. I mean, he tried to flee over to the Hungarian side of the Ukrainian border, and we don't know where he is. We've seen some reports claiming that he was wrapped up again by ASBU. Some reports claim he's on the run. I just failed to comprehend how this is even a possibility for our government. But this is the new America, right?
Well, let's be honest. If President Biden turned to his cabinet and he said, I want this man released immediately, I'm sure that our friend Gonzaga Lira would be on a plane tomorrow morning. There's no doubt about it. Ukraine is a creature of U.S. foreign policy. We pay for its government. We pay for virtually everything. And we've certainly turned in Zelensky and many of his inner circle into multimillionaires with estates and residences all over the world. So if we said, listen here, we've had enough of this nonsense, we want this man released, he'd be out. But you'll remember this basketball player, I think her name was Grange or something like that.
Yeah, Brittany
Yeah,
Griner.
yeah, Griner, I'm sorry. And she was released. And at the
Yeah.
same time, we had a man in Russian custody who was convicted of espionage. He was, I guess, in the State Department, but had been engaged in espionage. He was a former Marine, I think, who had seen action in the Marine Corps. And there was an interesting commercial. Well, it was really a commercial. It was a show, one of these talk shows in Russia. And the discussion was the American government leaves no stone unturned to bring home this woman who has publicly denounced the United States, poured nothing but buckets of filth and abuse all over the American people, but they'll do anything to retrieve her and bring her back to the United States, and fine, we're happy to be rid of her. But look, here's an American patriot that we're holding in prison. And that's what they called him. He's an American patriot. He broke our laws, but that he is an American patriot. And what's wrong with him? And then, they would start, well, he's white. He's a man. He was in the military. If Americans haven't figured out what's going on in this country, well, maybe they should watch Russian TV
Hmm.
because they'll find out. And they were telling the truth. It doesn't make any sense. It is the antithesis of everything that we in this country, I think, have been trying to build for decades. We've tried to build a society with equality for everyone before the law, not equality of outcome, not special privileges for anybody, simply equality before the law. And this rule of law has separated us from everybody in the world. That's why we were such a success story in business and economics. But that doesn't seem to be on the agenda these days for the Biden administration.
Definitely not. Definitely not. After I watched that new interview with Tucker Carlson and the Hunter Biden business associate, I mean, definitely not there. It's clear. It's just rank corruption left and right everywhere in this administration. But that, again, not really a surprise.